How you guys doing? This is Mike from 603 MTech Autowerks. Today we're going to be doing a common problem video on your M276 engines. So these engines can typically be found in your 350s, your 400s, and your 43 versions, which would be the twin turbo. This is your naturally aspirated M276 engine, and then you have your bi-turbo. So today we're going to kind of go over the overview on the NA version and kind of show you all the common problems on here, and then we can show you kind of what happened with this engine. So one of the first common problems that we see all the time is these front upper timing covers. So I already loosened it so you can kind of see, but this is the cover right here. These camshaft solenoids also leak because of the O-rings that are around this, and then you can see the sealant that goes around here. So basically over time the oil will leak down and leak into the alternator and cause a lot of problems. So that is one of the biggest and one of the first things that we see typically when this engine comes in. So now that the cover is off, the second other common problem that we see is camshaft adjusters. Now it's typically on bank 2 that we see the issue, which is this bank over here. But I have this cover off, so I'm also showing you this bank as well, which is bank 1, which can be a problem, but typically it's bank 2. So these adjusters go bad and they'll cause an excessive rattle noise on startup. It's very, very loud. We'll just, drop the video to kind of see what it sounds like. But these are very, very common. A lot of times they don't set a check engine light. You can typically hear a rattle noise, and then you can kind of scan it and there'll be a soft code in there. So you can look out for that. So next, we're gonna talk about camshafts. So these camshaft adjusters will go bad and cause excessive rattle, which can put a lot of wear and tear on the camshaft, and it can actually shift this pulse wheel. So as you can see, there's a laser mark here on the pulse wheel, the camshaft, and then there's a laser mark on the camshaft, and they're not aligned. So this will cause a timing code. So you can see these two camshafts are out of M276 engines. It's typically, like I said, is because people were ignoring the rattle noise on startup. So then sometimes you'll have to replace your camshaft and your adjuster, which can cost thousands. So if you hear that rattle noise on startup, definitely get it addressed. So another part that we're going to talk about today is the secondary upper timing chain tensioners. So these on the earlier generations used to rattle on startup, and it's typically because there wasn't a check valve installed behind there. But typically if you're going to replace an adjuster, we would always replace the timing chain tensioner, and if there isn't a check valve, we'd put a check valve in there. On the earlier years that these would rattle, so it's something to look at. Like I said, you could typically on cold starts you can hear that rattle, so that's something else to look into. So on the reliability side of things, these engines are reliable. I will say you just have to keep up with them. Like I said, these camshaft adjusters, I'm kind of, telling you guys ahead of time, but you definitely need to stay on top of them. A lot of people say timing chains, things like that. I see shops just quoting timing chains and adjusters. Typically, it's always the adjusters that's making the rattle noise, not the timing chains. I know people are stuck in their old ways, but unfortunately, these chains, I will say, are very reliable. We have a loaner car here with 226,000 miles. We've done camshaft adjusters on them, still on the original chains, and it's still kicking. So they can be reliable engines. You just have to keep up with them. So we're going to kind of go on some common electrical issues that we see on this engine and kind of go from there. So this engine doesn't really have that many electrical issues, but one of the biggest things that we see is the ignition coils. So these things will fail. You'll be driving, your check engine light will start flashing. Typically what a lot of people do is they pull over, turn off the car, turn it back on, and all of a sudden it's running again. So these things can intermittently go bad and cause, like I said, a misfire and cause other issues. So if you see that, definitely consider replacing your ignition coil. I would highly recommend when you do your spark plugs, maybe even just replacing all 6 of them. Like I said, it can get expensive. They list anywhere from $40 to $115, depending if you buy a Mercedes-Benz one. But I would recommend buying the Bosch or the Mercedes-Benz ones. So if you don't end up actually replacing your ignition coils, one thing that you definitely want to do is take these boots off and make sure there's no corrosion in here, because we see that a lot. And then, you might just consider replacing the coil if you do see some corrosion in there. So just check those out and you'll be good to go. So one last tip I have with the ignition coils is do not buy cheap quality coils. Don't buy them from Amazon, non-branded stuff, because it will blow up your intake manifold. You can see it all over the internet. So buy yourself a good quality OE, OEM ignition coil. Like I said, Bosch or Mercedes is what I'd highly recommend. So the next item is your camshaft position sensors. Now, these sometimes will set a check engine light, but it's typically due to oil getting through the connector. And what would actually happen is it works its way through this engine harness and go all the way to the engine control unit. It can cause lots of codes. We've also seen O2 sensor connectors fill up with oil, so it'll set an O2 code. But like I said, these camshaft position sensors, you definitely want to check them. All you would really have to do is just disconnect the connector for it. And you can see, typically you would see a bunch of oil on this connector. You want to replace these typically before they go bad. So back on the electrical reliability part of it, I mean, these engines are pretty reliable when it comes to electrical. The coils, they can go bad, and sometimes they'll even pop a fuse and basically shut down the whole bank. So it's one of those things, if you're doing your spark plugs when you're supposed to every 50, 60K, consider doing the coils at the same time. It can really prevent maybe getting a car towed to a shop. Like I said, the fuel injectors, they're fairly reliable. If you're doing your spark plugs, you can also tell if the injectors are going bad just by the condition of the spark plug. If one is, you know, black, smells like fuel, you can kind of have you can kind of tell if the fuel injector is actually leaking or not. So now onto the cooling system. So these water pumps, these thermostats are common to leak. And then also you have this plastic inlet flange that's on the water pump. I don't know why they went to plastic and put a gasket there, but they did. But these also leak, and it's typically, honestly, like higher mileage, like 100,000 miles. And then there's also a coolant fitting in between both cylinder heads, which is plastic, and those will go bad as well. So typically when you replace your thermostat, you want to be replacing your coolant inlet flange. So on this generation compared to the previous generation, they just used to go bad, like the thermostats inside used to just go bad. But now these also leak and the thermostat goes bad. So you get two things. So like I said, what will happen is these thermostats will leak down, come down onto the water pump, and you'll just lose coolant. But then also your water pump can leak from behind the pulley. And what happens is coolant leaks out from behind there as well. And then you have the inlet flange. There's a gasket behind that, and that will leak. So typically, honestly, when sometimes a customer comes in, maybe the water pump's leaking, we typically like to do a thermostat with the water pump and an inlet flange. Kind of bulletproofs that coolant system for another 100,000 miles there. But I would say that is one of the down flaws with the coolant system on this engine. Like I said, still reliable, but they just added plastic, kind of making it so things leak over time. So something that's really honestly common on any Mercedes engine is your dry belt and your dry belt components. So your upper idler pulley, your belt tensioner, these things can typically go around, I would say, about 60,000 miles. That's when we would suggest getting them looked at. Not necessarily saying they need to be done exactly at that mileage, but these upper idler pulleys typically like to make some noise. But if you're going to replace them with some high quality parts. So Mercedes-Benz or the OE equivalent, which the dry belt from Mercedes-Benz is Continental. These idler pulleys are from Gates, so you can get them right from Gates. It's going to be way cheaper. For an example, a belt tensioner at Mercedes-Benz could be like $300, and a Gates one could, say, be $50 to $100. And it's the same exact part. Typically, what they do is just scratch off the Mercedes emblem, which is what we have. So that's what I would suggest. You know, if these front covers are leaking oil, typically what will happen too is it get all over the belt. So that's typically when we like to do the dry belts is, you know, when all the oil is covered on the front of the engine. But like I said, it's not, I would say, common on this engine. It's just common on any vehicle out there. So another item we're going to be talking about is engine mounts. Now, this isn't just common on this engine. This is common on any Mercedes engine, especially at higher mileage, typically, you know, anywhere from 80K and up. But we're replacing these engine mounts on this specific engine because we're replacing it, and these ones are collapsed. So there's fluid in these. When they leak out, you're going to get a bunch of vibration up in the cab, typically on your steering wheel, or if you're at a stoplight, maybe you're just putting it in drive, you're going to feel a lot of vibration up in the cab. So it's definitely something to consider if you're looking to keep a car a long time and you want a little bit of more comfortable ride while you're driving your Mercedes-Benz. Ending on their last thing that we do see from time to time. Haven't done too many, that's why I'm saving it for last. That's why I'm saving it for last. But we're gonna be talking about the oil separator. So a lot of people will call it the PCV valve or also the centrifuge cover. We're just gonna call it the oil separator today. But this can cause some issues, and sometimes you can catch them early. So if you want to catch them early, what you can do is you can look at your air box. A lot of times when these start to go bad is you'll see a bunch of oil at the bottom of the air box. Basically it's just consuming a lot of oil, and the oil will be caked up right here, and that's an early sign of telling that this oil separator is going bad. But when they do go really bad, what will happen is there'll be a lot of vacuum. So when you try to take off your oil cap, you can't take it off. It just creates a bunch of suction. And it'll also sometimes cause a whistling noise, typically coming from your front crank seal. It'll suck in your dipstick and typically set a check engine light. So like I said, if you see oil here at the bottom of your engine air filter, you know, consider thinking about replacing this bad guy. So if you drive a Mercedes with an M276 engine, whether it's twin turbo or non-turbo, make sure you bring it to a shop that at least specializes in Mercedes, or you can give us a call. We just specialize in just Mercedes, so we're very, very familiar with these engines. You can reach us at our website, 603mtech.com, or give us a call. But thanks for watching. More videos to come.